Steve here coming at you with the next Pro Tip Tuesday. But before we get started, you're not a subscriber? Please do so. Get a friend to subscribe. That way we can grow this channel and spread the knowledge. So today what I want to talk about is building a tier or building a taper in the tape, the piece of tape that you're going to put in the thumb hole so that you won't squeeze the bowling ball. You can use this as a training aid, or I know some people that use it all the time. A teammate of mine, Mr. Thompson, told me about how to do this and I want to share it with you. So basically what we're going to do is we're going to build a tier or a taper on the tape. And the reason we want to do that is because if we're squeezing the ball, the only way we can get out of that grip is by to relax everything. And if you do that, you're going to take away some of the energy and some of the power that you've developed through your approach in your delivery. And we want to maximize that. And what we want to do is we want to feel like the thumb, and it's the back nail of the thumb, is maybe going to the back of the thumb hole where the nail is, and maybe the fingers are a little forward. If we do that, when we relax the thumb, the fingers are going to go right around the ball. And by building a tier or a taper in the tape that we put in the ball, we can begin to learn how that should feel. All right, so now we're going to cut to the video. I'm going to look over here and I'm going to explain the video along with me cutting the tape. As you can see, I have 4 pieces of tape. I have the base tape, which is in the front there. And then I'm going to have the other 3 pieces of tape, which I'm going to cut, and that's the pieces I'm going to use to build the tier that we see in the tape that I built previously there. So what we're going to do is I like to look at the piece of tape in fourths. So what we're going to do on the first piece of tape is we're going to cut off the bottom half or the bottom fourth of the tape. And what will happen is I'll have 1/4 and 3/4 of that piece of tape left. On the next piece of tape, I'm going to cut that one in half. And then I'm going to go to the bottom half and I'm going to cut that in half. And essentially what that gives me is 1/4, 1/4, and 1/2 piece of tape left. So I cut that tape. I'm going to do the same thing with the last piece of tape. So I'm going to cut it in half, and then I'm going to cut the lower half in half. So I'm going to have another 1/4, 1/4, and 1/2. And these are the pieces of tape that I'm going to use to build the tier on the base piece of tape. So I'm going to take the first 1/4 piece of tape and I'm going to put it at the very bottom of the base piece of tape. And then I'm going to take the second 1/4 that I cut and I'm going to put that also at the very bottom of the base tape. So now I've put those 2 1/4s down. So now I have a 1/2 piece left. And I'm going to put that, again, I'm going to always go from the bottom, and that's going to go halfway up the tape. Okay, so now I'm going to go to my second one that I cut. I'm going to put 1/4, and again, I'm going to put it at the very bottom of the base tape. And then I'm going to do it again. So I'm going to take another 1/4 of the second piece of tape that I cut, put that at the very bottom. I have another 1/2 piece of tape left, and that piece of tape is going to start again at the very bottom. And now you can see we're really starting to build that tier up at the bottom of that piece of tape. So the last one that I have is the one that I cut off again, a 1/4. That goes on the very bottom. And now I have the last piece of tape, which is a 3/4. Again, I'm going to always go from the bottom, working to the top of the tape, and the round part's going to go up to the top of the tape. And there you have the finished product. Okay, to wrap this all up, the reason we're doing this, the reason we're building this tier or this taper in the tape is so that we don't squeeze the thumb hole. And some people like to use this method to learn how not to squeeze the thumb hole. So they use it as a training aid. Other people like to use it all the time. So do it, try it in practice and see if you like it. Also, please note that when you use the tape, and I like to use the Vice tape, I like to use the red Vice tape. That's the grit or the texture that feels good for me, for my thumb hole in the front there. You can build that taper any way you want. So again, look at the tape and look at it in 1/4, and you can put more 1/4 at the bottom. Maybe you want less 1/4 at the bottom. Maybe you want to build it up a little bit higher in the thumb hole. Build it to suit your need and the way your thumb fits. When you put the tape into the thumb hole, again, always put it a few millimeters below the very top of the thumb. So that round part goes towards the top. Always put it down just a little bit, not right on the very edge. Again, we want to build the taper from the very top of that thumb hole all the way down. So have a little bit of space, then your thumb will go in. Maybe you need to put the tape a little lower or a little higher depending on where you taper it and how that feels. There's no wrong way to do it. Why don't you try it, check it out, and I'll tell you what, put in the comments below what went well, what didn't go well, or maybe you have some tips or some things that we can all learn from on what you do with your tape so that you don't squeeze the thumb hole and that you have that great release. Thanks a lot.